Good morning, everybody. Very excited to be here with you guys today. Very excited to present to you Scott Owen from SideNow and Joseph Landes from Nerdio. The objective of the call today is to have discussion and a presentation from both of them on the digitalization of signature and the participation of MSP in our ecosystem. As you know, we all know with the COVID-19 events, we've seen an acceleration of the modernization, digitalization world, and I think it's the right time to discuss digital signatures. It's the right time to see how MSPs can help our customer participate in some interesting project that we've seen in the region. So I think Joseph, my second Joseph, is going to present first. I don't know, Joseph, if you have any intros and you want to start and share your presentation, your video.
Hello.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Can you see my presentation and video?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Well, it is a real pleasure to be here today. Thank you so much to the Intcomex team for inviting me. And as always, I couldn't be more excited for the opportunity to speak to managed service providers in Latin America about Microsoft Azure. So my name is Joseph Landes. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer at a company called Nerdio, and our mission is to empower MSPs to build successful cloud practices in Microsoft Azure. And when we go out and we speak to MSPs about their practice and we ask them, why have you not started to move more of your customers into Azure? Why are you not building a cloud practice on Azure? We typically hear three things more than not. The first challenge that we hear from MSPs is the MSP will say, you know, it's expensive for me to do this because I don't have any people in my company who know how to architect and manage a cloud solution in Azure. So I have two choices. I can either go outside my company and hire someone, or I can retrain my existing team to do this. And either of those choices creates an expense for my business. The second challenge that we hear is the MSP will say, I've looked at Microsoft Azure and I find it to be complicated, complex. I don't really understand how to do it. And then the third challenge that we hear from MSPs is they say, I feel that moving to Microsoft Azure might be risky for me. Why risky? Because most MSPs are very used to the on-premises world. They know how to buy a server, to manage it, to monitor it, and secure it. And now, in the world of Microsoft Azure, it is a world of cloud consumption where you charge your customer based on how much they consume. So some MSPs get nervous about this and they say, how will I know how much my customer will consume? So for these three reasons, we find MSPs hesitating to move to Microsoft Azure. And that's where we come in at Nerdio. We have a product called Nerdio for Azure that is available through Intcomex across all of the countries where they do business. And our product, Nerdio for Azure, it does four things very well. I'd like to take you through each of these four things that are foundational elements of our product that allow you to build a cloud practice in Microsoft Azure. Let's start with the first one. So the first investment that we've made is in deployment. So with our deployment engine of Nerdio for Azure, you, the MSP, can get your Azure subscription and your Microsoft 365 subscription from Intcomex, and you take those subscriptions and you plug them into our tool. And when you do that, within a few hours, within 2 to 3 hours, your customer's entire Azure infrastructure will be built for them. What do I mean by that? Their domain controller, their Active Directory, Microsoft 365, file server, database server, application server, the new Windows virtual desktops, everything you need to do to bring your customer to Azure, we have automated and scripted so you don't have to hire someone who's very deep in Azure to know how to do this. You use Nerdio for Azure as your deployment engine. That's the first investment we've made. The second investment that we've made in Nerdio for Azure is helping you understand the pricing, the cost to you of Azure. And the way we do that is with our tool called the Nerdio Cost Estimator. With the cost estimator, you take the customer's on-premises infrastructure and you answer some questions about it in our wizard. And once you finish answering those questions, you will be presented with a sheet that looks like this on the screen. You will be told how much it will cost you as the MSP to purchase Microsoft Azure and Microsoft 365 and Nerdio from Intcomex. And we show you in this example, the price will be $51 US a user a month. We also show you the architecture that you will need. So if you look at the bottom of the screen, you'll see the virtual machines that we have architected for you. So now you can go to Intcomex and have a very smart discussion about what resources you need to purchase from them in order to bring your customer to Azure. So we really clarify the whole pricing piece of Azure for you. The third investment that we've made is management. So once you've brought your customer into Azure, once you've deployed them in Microsoft Azure, that's when the real hard work starts, because your help desk needs to answer questions from the customer about Azure. Things like, I forgot my password, I need a new virtual machine, I need a new user to be set up with a virtual desktop, many things. So we've created our Nerdio admin portal that allows you to manage your customer in Azure in a simplified way. We have a concept called 3-click management that allows you to do anything you want to do in Azure in 3 clicks or less. And then finally, the fourth investment we've made is optimization. With optimization, we've built in auto-scaling technology. What is auto-scaling technology? What it does is it allows you, the MSP, to set the parameters, to set the boundaries of when Azure should be on and off. Let's say you have a customer who's a doctor's office, and every day at 6 p.m., all of the doctors, nurses, and staff leave the building. Wouldn't it be great if Microsoft Azure was smart enough to know that it does not need to be running when nobody's in the building and nobody's accessing their desktops and their data? So that's what auto-scaling is. It will automatically turn off the Azure resources and then turn them back on in the morning when they need to be used. So we have built very sophisticated but very easy to use auto-scaling technology into our product. So if you think about where Nerdio fits into the typical Azure migration journey that you, the MSP, are going on, if you start on the left-hand side of the screen, most MSPs will do some kind of an assessment of the on-premises infrastructure that their customer has. Once you've done the assessment and you know what the customer has, you would then use Nerdio to do the pricing with our cost estimator of Azure. You would use Nerdio for the deployment and also to extend, to connect the on-premises infrastructure into the cloud so that you can move the bits over from on-premises into Azure. And then finally, Nerdio takes over and allows you to optimize with auto-scaling the environment and manage it day to day. And then, of course, you are billed for your Azure resources that you consume by your partner, Intcomex. So this is the typical Azure migration journey and where we fit into it. If you think about the role that we play in the ecosystem, you know, most customers have desktops, Office 365, maybe some backup and DR and security. So the customer is at the center of everything. You, the MSP, you are surrounding the customer with great, amazing value. You're helping the customer with their strategy, with monitoring, with support, with migration, and many things. At Nerdio, the role that we play is we sit in between you and the customer. We are the management layer that helps you, the MSP, be successful with Microsoft Azure with deployment, pricing, management, and optimization. We have two primary products that we sell through Intcomex. On the left-hand side of the screen is our entry-level product, Nerdio for Azure Core. Nerdio for Azure Core is typically used for what we call the basic IaaS deployment. If you have a customer that has servers on premise and they want to lift and shift those servers into the cloud, we charge $59 a customer account a month. And you could use all of our tools, the deployment, the management, the pricing, and the optimization. On the right-hand side of the screen is our most popular product, Nerdio for Azure Enterprise. And Nerdio for Azure Enterprise allows you to do everything that Core does, and it allows you to spin up a virtual desktop. So if you want to deploy your customer in the new Windows Virtual Desktop or the older RDS technology, you would use the Enterprise product to do that, and our pricing is $12 a desktop a month, not on top of the $59, but as a separate plan. So we very much encourage you to speak to your salesperson at Intcomex to learn more about these two plans. And certainly today, it's a very exciting time in the Azure space because Microsoft released a new product called Windows Virtual Desktop. And Windows Virtual Desktop, when people ask me, what is it all about? What is Windows Virtual Desktop? I like to describe it in a very simple way. And what I say is that WVD, Windows Virtual Desktop, allows a user to stream their desktop, their Windows 10 desktop, from any device, on any device they have, and from the Azure cloud. So your Windows 10 desktop sits in the Azure cloud, and you could stream it to any device. Why is this exciting? Why are people so excited about Windows Virtual Desktop? Well, there's a few reasons. One is because Microsoft made the technology a lot easier to use than the old RDS technology. So now you have a true Windows 10 operating system that is multi-session, that allows you to really have multiple users connect to it. But it's also very exciting from a licensing perspective, because in the old days of RDS, you had to piece together many different technologies in order to run a virtual desktop. You needed a Windows Server operating system, you needed RDS CALs, you needed something called shared computer activation. So it was very complicated for an MSP to do the correct licensing for a virtual desktop. Now with Windows Virtual Desktop, you really only need either Microsoft 365 Business Premium or Windows 10 Enterprise, and then you have an entitlement to run WVD in the Azure cloud. So it's a simplified product and it's simplified licensing. I'd like to shift for the rest of the conversation for the next few minutes to a topic that I very much enjoy. Microsoft 365 Business Premium or Windows 10 Enterprise, and then you have an entitlement to run WVD in the Azure cloud. So it's a simplified. Okay, so sorry about that. What I'd like to do now is shift to a topic that I very much enjoy talking about, that I think is really a core part of the success of any MSP building a cloud practice in Azure, and that is, how do you make money selling Microsoft Azure? Many MSPs, they get concerned that they can't make money in the cloud and they can make more money on premises. And I'm here to tell you that that is not true. That's actually the opposite. You can make more money in the cloud than on premises, but you have to be aware of the different strategies to save money off of the list price of Microsoft Azure. So we have written a white paper on this. You could go to our website, to getnerdio.com, WAC Academy. You'll see something called the Nerdio Academy, and we've written a white paper called Azure Margin Optimization for MSPs. And I'd like to take you through the four strategies that we have for you to save money off of the list price of Azure. The first one, of course, is becoming a CSP reseller with Intcomex. If you're an MSP and you want to start building a cloud practice in Azure, the first step you have to take is you need to contact Intcomex, and you need to ask them to become a CSP reseller. And most of you are probably already CSP resellers with Intcomex, hopefully for Microsoft 365. And now you need to extend that relationship with Microsoft Azure. And the reason you need to do this is very simple. The most expensive way to buy Microsoft Azure is something called pay-as-you-go, P-A-Y-G. That is not the way you want to buy Microsoft Azure. You want to become a CSP reseller so you can qualify for the discounts that Intcomex will give you on the cost of Microsoft Azure. And in addition to that, Microsoft is always running different promotions and different schemes and different licensing promotions that allow you to take part in even greater savings, but you must be a CSP. You must be part of the CSP program in order to take advantage of them. So that's the first strategy for saving money off of the list price of Azure, is become a CSP reseller with Intcomex. The second strategy that we believe is very important is to investigate and to leverage Azure reservations, otherwise known as Azure reserved instances. The idea of a reservation is that you will go to Intcomex and Microsoft and say, I would like to reserve a specific amount of Azure compute for either 12 months or 36 months. And once you do that, you will receive a very significant discount, sometimes up to 57% off of the list price of Microsoft Azure. And you do not have to pay upfront for this. It is a monthly payment if you would like. And many MSPs get nervous about this because they say, you know, I don't want to make a 36-month reservation or even a 12-month reservation. What if my customer leaves me? Well, the good news is you can always return the reservation if you need to. You could cancel and return the reservation back to Intcomex if needed, or even exchange it or reassign it and pay a small cancellation fee. We at Nerdio believe that you will save more money off of the list price of Azure than you would ever pay in a cancellation fee. So we strongly recommend looking at Azure reservations. The third tactic for saving money on Azure is something called Azure Hybrid Benefit. This is a licensing program from Microsoft that allows you to take the Windows Server that you have already purchased in a previous licensing program and apply that Windows Server core to the cloud, to the Azure cloud. So you essentially are getting credit for the Windows Server you've purchased, and you don't have to rent Windows Server in Azure again. To do that, you will have to go to Intcomex and purchase something called the CSP software subscription. They are sold in packs of 8 cores. They don't cost a lot of money. And you could then have the entitlement to run your Windows Server in the cloud with Azure. Another great savings. And then finally, the fourth suggestion that we have is to take advantage of auto scaling, to take advantage of a platform like Nerdio that allows you to auto scale the environment and save money on Azure. Most MSPs who work with Nerdio and implement these tactics are able to save anywhere from 60 to 80% off of the list price of Microsoft Azure. And as a result, you as an MSP are able to increase your margins significantly and even pass a lot of the savings on to your customers so that they can benefit from going to Microsoft Azure as well. So at Nerdio, we're very excited to partner with Intcomex. We believe that every MSP who's listening to this webinar today should reach out to Intcomex and talk to them about Nerdio. We believe every MSP definitely has at least one customer who's ready to move to the cloud with Azure. Maybe they have a server that you need to decommission, an old server. Maybe they just want to start using the cloud to be more efficient and be more productive. So we really feel as if Nerdio for Azure smooths the way for you as an MSP to be successful in Azure. You, of course, can always contact Intcomex for more information. You could also visit us on our website at getnerdio.com. We have something there called the Nerdio Academy. I showed you one of the white papers. We have 700 more white papers and videos for you to teach you how to build a cloud practice in Azure. And we certainly are very excited about our partnership with Intcomex when it comes to Nerdio for Azure and Microsoft Azure in general. So a big thank you to the Intcomex team for having me today. I will now pass it back to them for the next part.
Academy, I showed you one of the white papers. We have 700 more white papers and videos for you to teach you how to build a cloud practice in Azure.
Thank you, Joseph. Thank you very much. Very, very interesting. I do have one question. I don't know, Marlene, if you have a question on the chat, but I do have one question, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Can you explain a little bit the growth that you've seen in the US and other markets where you participate today? And two aspects: the existing MSP participation and the net new. Guys that are not an MSP necessarily today, but they want to build a practice on MSP. What type of growth have you seen in the US and other markets where you operate?
Yeah, absolutely, Joseph. I'm happy to answer that. Microsoft reported in its last quarter 59% growth of Microsoft Azure, Joseph. And I always ask MSPs, are you growing 59%? If you're not growing 59% in your business, it probably makes sense to think about Microsoft Azure. We are seeing tremendous growth around the world when it comes to MSPs aggressively moving to the cloud in Microsoft Azure. We definitely see that in Latin America, and it would be great to be able to see more and more MSPs in Latin America, Central America, South America, take full advantage of the power of the cloud. A lot of MSPs say, this is something that's far away, but in truth, it's not something far away. It's something that's here today, and if you don't take advantage of it, I think you'll be left behind. I strongly recommend that you reach out to your sales team at Intcomex and really talk about the opportunity for you now to move to Microsoft Azure, not in the future, but now. You need to start with your first customer. You're not going to have your whole practice move to Azure overnight. It's going to start. Anyhow, I strongly recommend how you find your first customer to move to Azure. And once you move your first customer to Azure, I think you'll be incredibly successful in the future. So thank you, Joseph, for the question.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Very good. All right. The next speaker, Scott, are you able to show your video?
Let me check if we have some questions from the audience for Joseph. Yes, we have one question. What you consider is the main benefit for an MSP using Nerdio instead of Azure tools to configure and estimate pricing, Joseph?
Yeah, so that's a great question to whomever asked it. So when you use the Microsoft Azure calculator, there's two reasons that it's much harder to use. Number one, it was not really designed for the MSP scenario. For example, let's say you're an MSP in Mexico, I don't know, or somewhere else, and you want to price out a Windows virtual desktop deployment using the Azure calculator. The minimum number of seats the Azure calculator supports is 100. And we know that most SMB customers don't have 100 employees. So the tool itself, the Azure calculator, was not really designed for MSPs. And the second reason, it's much harder. We've designed a tool, the Nerdio cost estimator, that it ties into the Azure calculator with APIs. So the information is 100% accurate, but it's much simpler to use for an MSP. So if you if you want, you could go to our website. It's free. We have a free version of it. You could try it out, and I think you'll see how much easier it is to use than the native tool. You can use the native tool if you want, but you're going to find it to be much harder.
The last question for Joseph is, does Nerdio have a certification path for partners that want to focus on NFA and WVD?
We do not. We strongly recommend that if you want to pursue a certification path, that Microsoft has a great certification program. You could start with the Azure Fundamentals 900 class, which is a great first class for Microsoft Azure. And you could go well beyond that. So we do not have a certification program. We rely on our partnership with Microsoft to leverage their certification program.
Okay, thank you very much, Joseph.
And if anyone has any other questions, they could always reach me at jlandes@getnerdio.com, JLANDES@getnerdio.com. I'd be happy to answer all your questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joseph. Okay, so now let's welcome Scott Owen from airSlate. Scott is going to talk about the great opportunity that we have with electronic signature. Welcome, Scott.
Thank you. Thank you for hosting, and hopefully everybody can hear me and see my screen well. All good?
Perfect. Yes, we can see the presentation. Thank you.
Wonderful. So thank you very much, Intcomex. We are excited about this partnership throughout Latin America and the Caribbean. And my goal is to share a little bit about who SignNow is, which is one of our offerings underneath the airSlate umbrella. What are the typical customers that you should be targeting as a reseller, and how we can partner together. So let's see, screen change. There we go. So I think it's really, really important is in 2020, just 2 months ago in May, Trust Advisors came out with the fact that e-signature solutions are the #2 solution for work from home on the planet, the entire globe. Telemedicine being #1 and video conferencing being #3, but e-signature now is the #2 work from home solution on the planet. How big is the e-signature total addressable market? It is massive. It's well over 25 billion, heading to 36 billion in opportunity. What's amazing is that only 10% of this market has been penetrated so far with electronic signature. So my key message for you today is every one of your customers, no matter what size, absolutely needs electronic signature, and the market opportunity is very, very big. So I'm going to talk a little bit about SignNow. Again, underneath the airSlate company umbrella, we have 3 offerings: PDF Filler, which is our software editing capability with PDFs; SignNow, which I'll talk to and go along on, which is our electronic signature; and then we just released airSlate, which is our no-code workflow automation. We will bring all this into the Intcomex marketplace, but for now, we're starting with SignNow. So SignNow has now over 6 million users around the globe, everything from small businesses all the way up into the enterprise, but the small, medium business to mid-market is really a sweet spot for us. Some of you may be familiar with electronic signature, but a couple of slides just to walk you through the key benefits. Obviously, you can quickly fill out and sign documents, pretty straightforward. Approve any document on any device, anytime. We actually, at the end of the day, e-signature is actually workflow, and we actually simplify complex workflows with our platform. One of the key benefits is increase of team productivity. The amount of productivity that you get from deploying SignNow is significant, and I'll show you some of those details a little later on in the presentation. One of the key things about our platform is we have the ability for your end customer to actually white label the platform, so they experience utilizing their own brand as they connect with their customers. So that's a key differentiation with the SignNow platform. Ultimately, we are about driving work productivity and for work to become uninterruptible. One of the key advantages also with SignNow is we're out of the box integrated with the customer's typical applications. SignNow is completely out of the box integrated with Office 365, with Dynamics, with Teams, with Power Automate. We're also out of the box integrated, with G Suite and the rest here, Salesforce, NetSuite, etc. All of the storage cloud providers as well. So I won't go super long on this slide, but I think it's key is to note the left side of the slide is typical customer challenges. and then how Sign Now solves those challenges on the right side. One of the key areas is cost saving. So you save on paper, you save on labor resources by the use of Sign Now. Oftentimes when people are doing things manually, print, sign, fax, scan, etc., a lot of errors occur. In the filling out of our forms, there's no way you can make an error. Every box needs to be filled out before it's sent for signature. The whole document process usually takes a very long time. The ability to track those documents is cumbersome. And again, Sign Now provides many benefits, as you can see. So left side, customer challenges that we often see, and the right side for what Sign Now can solve. So what's in it for your customers? 80% of documents are completed in a day, so huge productivity increase occurs with Sign Now. Your customers will experience with their customers, significant customer experience increases. Big customer satisfaction score uplift occurs. Tremendous amount of savings of time occurs. 25 times faster turnaround time on document workflows and the signing of these documents. And probably ultimately your customers get a 7 times ROI or return on investment in the first year when they deploy Sign Now. So if you look at all the benefits, productivity, customer experience increases, save time, save money, this is an amazing application to deploy to all of your customers. But what's in it for you as the reseller? We believe that in a land and expand strategy, if you're in a larger customer, you can start in HR, for example, or start in sales, or start in legal, and then expand to other lines of businesses. We are a line of business application, and so oftentimes I know as resellers you get stuck, if you will, within IT with a lot of other application sales. Well, we are definitely a line of business sell, and that I think is advantageous for you. We can help accelerate sales. We've got a very large SEO, SEM engine that we will bring to the Intcomex partnership to drive leads and opportunities. And overall, we think we can drive your additional margins, drive over deal size, drive adoption, etc. So significant benefits for both customers and for you as the reseller. So typical targets for Sign Now. Left side there, you see typical business owners, lines of business owners, all types of people. And in the middle, we are very horizontal. So at the end of the day, a key message today is we are applicable for any size customer, any vertical market, and across all lines of businesses. And again, we have the out-of-the-box integrations. But my key message for you today is e-signature is necessary for all businesses, no matter what size, and across all industries, as you can see here as well. Here's just an example of 5 lines of businesses on the top and 5 vertical markets down on below, and the typical use cases that we see in each of these. One of the things to consider in this COVID environment is human resources. You think about the number of customers that have had to offboard employees and now are beginning to re-onboard employees. The opportunity to digitize that whole experience through NDAs, through offer letters, employment contracts, doing all that through Sign Now is essential. You also think of the next one over, sales. Today, a handshake or meeting somebody in person to sign something just cannot occur in this COVID environment. That can be all done digitally with Sign Now as well. And you can see the rest across the other lines of businesses, as well as down below some example use cases across different vertical markets: government, education, nonprofit, IT, sports just for fun as well. So ultimately, SignNow helps digitally transform all companies, all departments, all size of companies as well. So you can see all the different types of lines of businesses. We have use cases for each of those. And again, the opportunity is to land and expand. The opportunity is to bring our solution alongside an Office 365 or a Teams or a Dynamics, and ultimately that creates stickiness between the two solutions. Our renewal rates are significant once people begin to use electronic signature, SignNow in this case. They never move away from it again. Absolutely essential for the business. So I thought I'd give you sort of a larger use case success story, and then next slide I'll walk you through a smaller one. But here in the United States, in Los Angeles, California, there's the Los Angeles County HR department has 112,000 employees. They onboard and offboard around 10,000 employees every year. That was a manual process of having to download documents, mail them, scan them, print them, sign them, try to track them, and file them. That process would take weeks to onboard an employee. And this is a great example of an HR solution, no matter what size of customer. They integrated SignNow into their workflow. And as you can see on the far right side, they're now able to onboard and offboard those 10,000 employees in a matter of just a day or two in comparison to the many, many weeks that they were experiencing before. So great use case in HR of onboarding and offboarding employees. A very significant COVID success story is with the Department of Health and Human Services in the state of Nevada. They approached us within a couple weeks of the shutdown here in the US, and they were needing to get declarations of self-quarantine signed by their employees around the state. They obviously could not get somebody to go out and meet and get that signature face to face. So they deployed SignNow. We actually helped them deploy that in less than 15 minutes into their workflow. And they were able to then push out these declarations of self-quarantine all digitally out to all their employees around the state. We're able to sign those. It helped drive, compliance, security. They were able to electronically file those, and obviously keep their employees safe. So if you think of, the COVID environment we're in throughout all of LATAM and the Caribbean, these are great use cases, examples of utilizing SignNow as well. One of the things we absolutely want to offer, and we'll do this through the Intcomex partnership, is providing resellers with internal use rights seats of SignNow so that they can utilize SignNow, experience SignNow, and ultimately we believe you will become your own use case and better sell SignNow when you're able to utilize our offering and our application. So we will work with the Intcomex team for those that want to make a commit to a certain amount of revenue, can get a certain amount of free seats from SignNow. And we would love to support every and each one of you with these free seats. Lastly, for my slide deck, we bring a lot of resourcing to the table that we will bring to the Intcomex partnership. We have a partner center, a partner portal, where each of you underneath Intcomex have access to, where you can put leads in, we can deal reg, you can get all the content collateral that you need, marketing materials. We can actually market or create campaigns out of our partner center if you'd like. So we have a great resource center We also will do any and all necessary, what we call sales enablement sessions, to enable your sellers to sell Sign Now well. We will support you in any demo support, any technical sales support. So we want to make sure that you are successful as you resell Sign Now throughout LATAM and the Caribbean. And you can always reach us at partners@airslate.com. So that is it for my presentation. Electronic signature is pretty straightforward. It's a necessary application for all customers throughout the globe. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great, Scott. Yes.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Scott. I do have a quick question, Maureen, if you don't mind.
Of course.
Scott, can you expand a little bit on the integration with Microsoft 365?
Yeah.
And can you explain also, compare Sign Now with other digital signature? And we won't mention the name, but we know who they are.
Yes.
Just if you can just explain the difference. Thank you.
Yeah, great question, Joseph. So I'll answer real quickly. We are native, out of the box integrated with Office 365, Teams, Dynamics, which means that you don't have to swivel chair out of those applications in order to deploy and use Sign Now. So very intuitive, grabbing documents out of those native applications and utilizing Sign Now. So very, very simple without any sort of swivel chair. And yes, I'd love to answer your second question. So just to be straight up, I actually used to work for DocuSign. I ran their global resell channel. I have Margie, who's actually on my team running all partner marketing. She also came from DocuSign. She's on this session. And so, DocuSign, is the number one, in this space globally. They created the brand. We are actually number 2 and growing. So here's the big differences, and I think this is super important. We are priced about 25 to 30% less than DocuSign. That's the first thing. The second thing is DocuSign puts a hard cap on the number of sends per user per year. It's 100 sends per user per year with DocuSign. We allow a user to send up to 1,000 sends per year per person. So we allow 10 times more usage of the product for 25% less the cost. The third thing that's very different is DocuSign counts a transaction when a transaction is initiated, sent out for signature. 15-20% of the time, that signature does not get completed, but they still count that transaction against you. Here at Sign Now, we count a completed transaction as a transaction. So I think that's pretty key as well. Feature functionality, we are parity. We are very good on mobile, and we're very good on the ease of use of our tool. So I think the key difference is, yes, we have a huge respect for DocuSign and our other competitors, but I think the difference is less cost, 10 times more usage of the product for that cost, and we count completions as a transaction, not just initiated. Hopefully that made sense.
Yeah, that was perfect. Thank you.
You bet.
Very good, Scott. We have some more questions in the chat. Does Sign Now and add security and protection to signed document? And can a signed document be modified?
Yes, great questions. Yes, we have all these, the security and compliance. They're in the application. We take security very seriously. We take compliance special local laws, etc. So the answer is yes, definitely. And then yes, you're able to modify any document that has been sent. You can pull it back, modify it, and then resend. So that's natively built into the tool as well.
Very good. Okay, we have another question. How competitive is SignNow versus other solutions in terms of price?
Yes. We are probably in pricing parity, about the same as Adobe eSign, but you'll find SignNow way more intuitive to use, easier to use. The UI is easy as well. Compared to DocuSign, we are about 25 to 30% less cost than DocuSign.
Okay, great. Another question. What is the addressable market for e-signature in the Caribbean?
Great question. So on a global basis, it's around 25 billion, heading to, because of the coronavirus, around 36 billion. I would say in the Caribbean, it's probably up to about $500 million of total addressable market. The rest of Latin America is probably around 2 to 3 billion in total addressable market.
Okay, great. We have opportunities there.
You do.
Another question. Armando, does SignNow has multiple language?
We do have multiple language, including Spanish. We actually are adding into the roadmap Portuguese, but we do have English, German, French, Spanish, etc.
Okay, thank you. Another question. I couldn't find the option in setting to switch languages. Do you support multiple language? It's kind of the same question that we have before.
Yep, we do. Yep,
okay.
We support Spanish as well.
Okay, and I have some questions that some folks from the team sent me. Can you talk a little bit more about the underlying security in their practices, like policies and platform?
As far as within our platform?
Yes.
Yeah. So again, we take security very seriously. Our application sits on both Azure and AWS. So we don't sit in our own environment. Our complete application is sitting on both Azure or AWS. We give the customer a choice there. So obviously we are as secure as those platforms, which we have a lot of confidence in. But yes, security, compliance, if we were over in Europe, GDPR, all those kind of things, we are compliant all the way around.
Perfect, Scott. Okay, let me see if we have more questions. We still have 7 minutes. If you have more questions, okay. If not, I
do have one last question for Scott. Do we have access to some sort of a trial, or if a customer want to give it a test, how does it work?
Yes, great question, and thank you for asking. Yes, in the marketplace, we do have trials. We allow a 30-day trial. We support that. We think that's a great way for the customer to experience it. So yes, trial. We have a 30-day trial offering within the marketplace.
Thank you.
You bet.
Very good. We have more questions, Scott. That's good.
Okay. You bet.
How much time does the installation process consume? How many times actually? How many
times? That's a great question. Yeah, the amazing thing about electronic signature is there's not a lot of service work to do. I call it a turn-on service. When we work through the platform, your marketplace with Intcomex, we provision those seats. The customer is sent a provisioning, if you will, email. They open up that email, and in essence, SignNow is then deployed. So it is not, there's not a lot of services around it other than you coming alongside your customer and supporting their workflow, digitization workflow, utilizing Sign Now across all of their lines of businesses. So very, very easy to deploy. It can be deployed in seconds, quite frankly.
Very good. Another question. How Sign Now tamper-proof signed PDF?
Ask that question again.
The question is how Sign Now proof the signed PDFs?
Yeah, so hopefully I understand the question. Every type of document that comes into Sign Now, we convert to a PDF because we harden it. We also ensure that then it's encrypted after signature, so we don't get access to it or see it. But everything is converted, no matter what type of document it is, into a PDF so that it's hardened and can't be changed. And then we have all of the audit trail capabilities to where you can see who signed, where they signed, when they signed, etc. And all that is in the audit trail behind the scenes, if you will, but obviously able to be seen.
Good. Another question is, can you speak a little bit more? How does this benefit MSPs?
It's enormous benefits. I mean, right now, especially with the COVID environment, every company needs to, move to digital signature. Why? They can't go out and do a handshake. They can't go out and physically get something signed without there being a lot of health risk. So right now, electronic signature, again, is the #2 work from home, businesses at home, working from home application on the planet. Telemedicine being #1, where you can get online with a doctor. Video conferencing being #3, but e-signature is now the #2. So again, every customer, every size of customer, they all need electronic signature.
Perfect.
Hey, Scott, one last question. And you may not have that answer by country, but the legality of digital signature by geo varies, right?
Yep.
And each customer on the call right now probably knows for their respective geo if it's a done deal. Yep. On the registration or no. Is there like a way to understand that and to see that at what level is it a legal? Yep. A signature actually legal binding or no? Is there an organization that actually control that?
Yeah, it's a great question, Joseph. And actually, we're building this out on our website, ability to click into any country and see the legality of signature, just because there's some countries that require a different level of e-signature when you get into some of the Nordics, etc. But the good news for LATAM and for the Caribbean, e-signature is completely legal in every country, but we can put together a list to ensure that you can have that. We can make sure it's accessible to your resellers.
Thank you.
You bet. And thank you for the partnership. Thank you for the opportunity. We look forward to a great partnership throughout LATAM and the Caribbean.
Very good, Scott. We have another question.
Sure.
I wanted to know more how and why would a customer use an MSP versus go directly to Sign Now?
It's a great question. What we have well, first of all, Sign Now, in comparison to our other competitors, we are very channel focused, very channel friendly, and our go-to-market is via channel partners. So that's one thing. Second, we find that most customers outside of North America actually want to buy through a local provider, a local reseller, a local MSP. And we actually prefer that because we believe an MSP can come alongside that customer and provide better customer care, better technical support, etc. In the way that we go to market. So we have a firm belief that an MSP is the right channel partner or partner to resell SignNow.
Great, Scott. Okay, we are in time right now, so let me just do a 2-minute wrap up. So as Joseph mentioned it before, there is a great opportunity for MSPs, and we have a crafted play at Intcomex Cloud to help you and make all MSPs and bars successful and profitable. And as Scott mentioned, the addressable market for electronic signatures, and we should be able to capitalize it. So this is an horizontal play. So it's great for MSPs, but it's good to know that it's a horizontal play. So we at Intcomex Cloud can help you to learn how to position this and generate demand with your customers. So thank you all for your time, and we look forward to work with you and make all the MSPs successful in this new economy where we know that remote work is now more important than ever. So thank you all and have a great day.
Thank you.